It's personal between me and you, and I'm going to do you some serious harm, you big stiff idiot.
The untouchable True School Sports Empire proudly presents something the boxing games are missing. Hey, what's going on? It's your boy BT, and I came here to talk some boxing with the thousands of True School Sports subscribers. All right, so I wanted to discuss, Big Bang Zhang, because he's what's happening in the streets of the heavyweight division right now. He's what, a lot of people want to talk about, and for good reason. His last 3 fights, he's performed very well in all of them against Filip Hrgović and the 2 Joe Joyce fights. He's recognized today as one of the best heavyweights in the world, and I think he's earned that title. God bless him. I love watching Zhang fight. Now, the question isn't about, do we want to see him fight? The question really about Zhang is, how do we keep this gravy train rolling, and what could be next for him? Because the fight I really want to see with him, because I don't think he could beat Filip Hrgović, is the rematch, right? I don't think he beat him in the first fight, and I damn sure don't think he's going to beat him in the rematch. But Hrgović is playing the waiting game right now. The IBF recently stated that he will fight the winner. He will fight for the IBF belt should Tyson Fury and Usyk do a rematch, which there is a rematch clause in the contract. So right now, if that happens, it looks like he may be fighting Aldo Wallin for the number 2 spot for the IBF world title, because Aldo Wallin has actually been bumped over Anthony Joshua for the number 2 spot. So it'll be Hrgovic's third southpaw. But nonetheless, that's another video. What's next for Zhang? What could be next for him? Well, recently, and shout out to G Funky Boxing and Boxing Scene, because they transcribed the quotes from his interview. So shout out to both parties involved. G Funky Boxing did an interview recently with Terry Lane, who is the advisor of Zhang, and they spoke about what could be next for him. Now, 2 of the opponents that were cited were Luis Ortiz and Joseph Parker, and I think those fights are ideal for Zhang, right? Because you look at who those guys are. Ortiz is a name. He's been in there with Wilder. He's still, a good heavyweight fighter. He's fought Charles Martin as well. Fought Brian Jennings. He's established. He's an established, credible heavyweight name, and he's a mover as well. So it'd be a good fight for Zhang. And then you got Joseph Parker, a guy who's been in the mountaintop, guy who's been champion, been in there with Joe Joyce, been in there with some top guys, Dillian White, and the list goes on and on. Anthony Joshua. So obviously you get those names in your resume. That obviously is going to enhance your reputation in the division. Obviously you got Andy Ruiz as well, who his manager was very keen on, pretty much saying that, look, Andy Ruiz has to get realistic when it comes to negotiations, and I agree with him. Andy Ruiz Jr., he literally had the chance, had he handled the situation right, to become the face of boxing. He was the Mexican heavyweight champion. Those don't grow on trees. He was the first one, and he couldn't really fully seize the opportunity. He still made history, but yeah, like I was saying, Andy Ruiz still made history, but he just couldn't maximize what he had going for him, right? So I think he's gotta humble himself a little bit, and if he can do that, he's still a very attractive opponent for a lot of these heavyweights, including Zhang. So those are some of the more established names. I mean, you got guys like Martin Bakole, Michael Hunter. There's lesser names that in the mid-level of the heavyweight division that I think Zhang could fight. And I think for him, it's all about staying busy. It's all about staying active, because we know that with Zhang, his Achilles heel, his issue that sometimes rears its ugly head in his fights is the fact that his gas tank, it's not quite up to par. It's why I think he lost to Hrgović, and it's why he got to draw Jerry Forrest, and that's just what it is, right? So I think the way you can best combat that is by keeping him as active as possible, right? So, a lot of things going on for Zhang, and I'll say this too. I think with the way some dominoes are falling in the heavyweight division, like Hrgović is supposedly going to be fighting Aldo Wallin now for the number 2 spot, like I said earlier, which means that Anthony Joshua would drop to number 3, which means he's not fighting for the heavyweight title, right? So with that being said, I don't see any reason on earth why Eddie Hearn, Matchroom Boxing don't try to make that fight happen. I mean, Zhang stock will never be higher than it is right now. I mean, he's coming off of 2 of the most devastating knockouts in the heavyweight division in recent memory. He got the whole of China, the Chinese boxing community, the CBC, but not the CDC, but the CBC, the Chinese boxing community on his side, and he's a growing star in the sport, right? Those two have history from the Olympics. Anthony Joshua fought him in the Olympics and defeated him, so there's a storyline there. And now, AJ's not fighting for the title. So I think apart from fighting for the title, and it's going to be some time before Anthony Joshua gets to fight for the title, so he got to stay busy. He can't just be sitting here fighting nobody. And we don't want to see another Jermaine Franklin. We don't want to see another Robert Helenius. Anthony Joshua is still good enough to cut the mustard at the top level of heavyweight boxing. The only way you're going to find out is by him fighting a guy like Zhang. So Eddie Hearn needs to get him out of protective custody and get him this fight because, okay, he's not champion no more, but, he's been working on some things with Derek James as far as keeping that nice basic foundation, basic base skills, as far as his hand positioning is concerned. And my thing is this, if Anthony Joshua can't beat Zhang, then we don't need to talk about him beating Fury or Usyk or Hrgovic, because I don't think Zhang better than any of them guys, but he's still dangerous, and he's got the kind of punching power to where on his day he can knock anybody out, and including them guys I named that I think are better than him. So, yeah, Zhang's a hot commodity, and I don't think it should really be too difficult. I really feel like, okay, Andy Ruiz once was in the driver's seat of the division, and I know Zhang doesn't got a title, so to speak, but I kind of view him in a sense as being in the driver's seat of the division because he doesn't need a title, because boxing and the industry of boxing has been salivating and starving and waiting for a Chinese fighter to break through because of the big population they got in China. And boxing's been wanting to tap into that. Bob Arum's been wanting to tap into that. I remember when Bob Arum tried to sell us Zhao Shiming as the next great, hope for Chinese boxing, and he was a hype job, and he did all those shows in China. Even made Pacquiao fight Chris Algieri out there in Macau in China, right? So this has been a long time coming for the sport, and for that reason, I feel like Zhang is in the driver's seat. So it really shouldn't be too hard to secure an opponent. It doesn't matter if it's her. It doesn't matter if it's Joshua. It doesn't matter if it's Wilder. I feel like Wilder should be jumping out the opportunity to fight him. Frank Sanchez, Dubois, Haji Caballero, Makhmudov, Dillian White, F.A. Jagba. I mean, there's no shortage of options. Ivan Disco, who's still in the rankings, somewhere, he's number 10. I mean, that could be an option. Lenier Perot, if you want a high risk, low reward opponent. I mean, there's so many. Martin Bakole, Michael Hunter, okay? So, yeah. The key to victory for Zhang in the rest of his career is to keep this momentum going. You got people excited about Zhang. He's already old. You don't know when the landscape's going to free up for him to finally get a title shot, because you got Fury and Usyk who got to clear things up. Then Hrgovic's got to fight Valine, more than likely for the IBF belt. So you're probably looking at, another, at the earliest, 9 months before he's fighting or gets a chance to fight for the title. So in the meantime, keep him busy, keep the people excited, continue to build that profile up in China, and let's go, man. I want to see Big Bang Zhang keep fighting. I mean, he brings that excitement to the division. So yeah, that's what it is. I think the fight for me, if I had it my way, if I was the commissioner of boxing, Anthony Joshua Zhang would be happening next, because Joshua is not fighting for the title next. They have history, and I want to know if Joshua can still cut it at that top level of heavyweight boxing. And Zhang is on the top level of heavyweight boxing. He's proven that against Hrgovic. He's proven that against Joyce in 2 fights. You give him his due. So I'm going to leave it at that. Y'all can let me know, who do you want to see Zhang fight next? Because I don't think they need to play around with him. Get him back in the ring first quarter 2024. And that's what it is. So let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Make sure you guys take the time to subscribe. And like I say in every single one of these videos, you can love me or you can hate me, but I'm just a kid from Daniel. So until next time, take care, guys. Thank you for watching another video on the untouchable True School Sports Empire. For more great boxing content just like this video, click right here and make sure you subscribe. Much love from sunny South Florida.